Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world to us if you could just scroll down, like, hit the subscribe button for the Snaps YouTube channel. It goes a long way towards helping us out. Now, let's dive into some college football. There's a lot of coaches that are in very high pressure situations. Okay. You
Yep.
can throw Sark in there, Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Day, Lincoln Riley, Dion, James Franklin's up there. With the list I just gave you, maybe it's somebody I did not mention, Aaron. Which college coach do you think is in the biggest kind of make or break situation going into next season, dude?
Well, it's got to be Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day has been given the keys to the Bentley. He's been given everything that he wants. You just received one of the best offensive minds in college football as your new OC. You had probably one of the best transfer portal classes this offseason, along with Ole Miss. You have all the pieces to play on both sides of the football right now. And Michigan's losing a ton of talent to the NFL. Michigan just lost their head coach. So you should own your conference. You should be a shoe into the playoffs. And you're one of the best two teams roster-wise in college football right now, along with Georgia. So to me, all the pressure is on Ryan Day. You have to win the Big Ten this year. Like that would be, to me, unacceptable if Ohio State does not win the Big Ten this year. Not saying that maybe it's national championship or bust, but I think it's you have to make it to at least a semifinal, if not the national championship game, for this not to be a bust season. I mean, you've been given 8 figures plus to put together your roster.
Yeah.
And then Chip Kelly on top of that. You got to win this year. You got to win big.
Yeah, I think, look, I agree with you. Bare minimums beating Michigan in a Big Ten championship. If not, even though you're 56-8 overall as a head coach, if you cannot do that this season for all the aforementioned reasons, then I think you're going into a hot seat year where the following year will be determined whether or not you get fired. And I always go back to what does Uncle Ben tell Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, that's a bit how money works, right? Because with money comes great power, but also comes great expectation. And it is a perfect storm for Ohio State here. And if you're Ryan Day, you don't frame this as a negative, like I have to live up to this. You embrace the opportunity that is now presented in front of you. Like Aaron said, it's rumored that Ohio State put $13 million into the recruitment and the retention of this roster. And that was before Caleb Downs, right? You had Will Howard, you had Quinshon Judkins. They even got that center from Alabama that became a bit of a goat if you're an Alabama fan, but is still, a solid player overall. You bring in Chip Kelly. I imagine you're paying him another $2 million a year at least. And look, if you look at Chip Kelly, he still knows offense. We touched on this a little bit. Like, if you look at UCLA over the past 4 seasons, and that's even with the year last year without a quarterback, they're ranked number 5, number 3, number 2 in terms of total offense. They set a school record. UCLA did over 500 yards a game in 2022. They led the conference in scoring in 21. So, like, even though last year was a relative down year for Kelly, he is still an elite offensive mind. So, and then so you got the money. You got the money about the personnel and the player department. And as you said, no Nick Saban, no Jim Harbaugh and Michigan replacing their entire team, no Brian Ferentz. Like, if you can't find a way to win the national championship this year, then again, Big Ten.
I don't think you think it's a bust if they don't win the Natty.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. You don't invest that much money without championship promises of return. No,
I still think they would be happy with the Big Ten championship. Like, if you can go 13-0, win the Big Ten, and make it say to the Natty, it's you and Georgia, like the 2 teams that we feel like are the 2 big dogs heading into the season, and you lose that game, I wouldn't look at it as like that was an unsuccessful season. I would look at it if you don't win the Big Ten, or if you get knocked out early in the playoffs, then I would deem that unsuccessful.
But if you lose the Natty, you're still all of that. Ryan Day can't win the big game, can't get over the hump, et cetera. All that stuff's going to be cropping up in a big way. No, look, if you don't win the Big Ten, you're probably going to be fired the year after, or
I
at
agree.
least you will be on the hot seat to be fired. You have. So he's under incredible pressure. How do you interpret Kalen DeBoer's pressure? Because I don't see Kalen
see it.
DeBoer as being fired, obviously, but I don't think there's a bigger microscope than what Kalen DeBoer has on him.
Well, I think, yes, obviously the microscope is there. I mean, you're following the greatest coach of all time, but I think for the biggest worry, Alabama has been the best team, and this has been an incredible dynasty for a couple of reasons. One, Nick Saban was the head coach, the greatest coach of all time. For first one. Second one, he was able to amass the most talented roster every single year. We even said it all this season. Alabama technically was the most talented roster in college football. They had the most 4- and 5-star players of any other team in America. And Nick has been able to do that every single season. He is a number 1, a number 2, or number 3, or number 4, like always a top 4, and more times than not a top 2 recruiting class each and every season. If Kalen DeBoer shits the bed in year 1, now all of a sudden we already saw a little bit of that in when he got hired. Kids are going to leave. They're going to hit the portal, and you're not going to continue to amass top 5 recruiting classes. Like, you have to keep the train going, because it is now easier than ever for that train to be derailed, and to be derailed pretty damn fast. Because you can lose a plethora of guys in the portal like that, like we already saw a month ago.
Many of my Alabama friends, Aaron, were none too happy with the you and Brooks Austin episode. Heard y'all are maybe just a
Brooks
couple
is the
of
most hated
dogs,
man in Bama.
little couple
I
of
didn't say
dogs
shit.
talking down to the tide.
I didn't say shit, bro. It was all Brooks. But I would say there's pressure to get. I think 9-3 is a must. I think 10-2 would be
Bro, I think
incredible.
you think 9-3 is a must. I think 9-3 is a bust. You gotta go 10-2 if you're Alabama.
I don't.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure the Tide fans will be right there with you.
I think there's a difference between the Tide fans being happy, and I'm saying keeping the roster moving in a direction that you can build from.
It's just tough, man. You're following up Jesus. Like, everything you do is going to be judged against the best that's ever done it. And I saw it at LSU, because I came in the beginning of the Miles era, even a couple years into the Miles era, but there were still a bunch of old heads on the team that had been there under Saban. There was a bunch of employees under the team that had been there under Saban. And I saw a lot of shit talking about how tough things used to be. And like, yeah, maybe Miles is nicer, or maybe it's a little bit easier, but there was an inherent lack of respect. So that's going to be a very, very tough hurdle for Kalen DeBoer to overcome.
See, I think Jason said it well in the chat. Jason Watley here, Bama fan here. We're not worried. We're not worried that DeBoer may not win a championship. We're worried that he might knock off that elite diamond shine we have on the program with recruits.
Yeah. Well, that's probably going to be, I think that's already going to be gone no matter what. Again, like, and that's not,
you think it could be gone in the sense of, like, they're not going to put together top 10 classes?
I said no, top 10. No, I didn't say top 10, but that's not what Bama's used to.
No, I agree.
We're talking about the elite diamond China. What I'm saying,
but you can win a championship with a top 10 recruiting roster. If you
you can, but that's not what they talk about, though. He just talked about the elite shine that they have with those big time recruits. And what the one thing I feel confident in saying is that was, since Nick Saban was such a mathematical outlier in recruiting, smashing even that of like Kirby Smart and everything else, is that no matter how good Kalen DeBoer does, he can't do that good.